Oh, hey.
I recognize that song.
Hey. Guess what? We're recording.
Hey, oh, hey.
Yeah, you let us know when that happens, Todd, and we'll get started.
Yeah.
You mean now? We're recording?
Right now,
my goodness. Welcome, everybody, once again to Our Town Podcast.
Extraordinary.
Coming to you from the beautiful Renton Civic Theatre in gorgeous downtown Renton, Washington.
Yeah, the completely, besides ourselves and, ectoplasm, completely empty. So we should avoid interruption.
Well, we hope so, because we're on the stage today. It may look like Todd's basement, but it is on the stage, and they are doing a production right now called Thumbs, which looks like a murder mystery of sorts.
I think so.
Honestly, I think this looks like the set for Family Guy. I keep expecting to see Peter
Lois come running in.
Or Brian chasing Stewie.
And we are... go to rentoncivictheatre.org for more information and showtimes and tickets and all that stuff and upcoming stuff. So this is our humanity episode where we're going to talk all things humanity.
The humanity.
Oh, the humanity. And
I'm a human.
We brought our in-house philosopher, my Dunce Cap Games DCGTV brother, Kyle McCurdy here today.
So great.
Good to see you.
Thank you. And I do carry a degree in philosophy.
Yes.
Right
I can officially call myself that.
Yes. Not a doctorate, though, right?
No, I'm not a doctor of philosophy.
But you've actually probably studied more philosophy than anybody on the stage besides maybe Mike.
Oh, I don't know. No, certainly you have.
Almost
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
No doubt about it.
A lot of Western philosophy.
I've done a lot of psychedelics.
Hey.
That's not the same thing, Mike.
That's
Well,
not
it is. It's the deep thinkers say it's the quick path, the cheater's path, or whatever. But but I think the idea of the humanities is that it's open to all of us.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not necessarily based on language or time or any of those other things that can set a flavor to our civilizations, right? And so, any human just experiencing their existence is philosophizing, right? And coming to terms with it.
Anytime you ask a question, anytime you or have a piece of wonder hit you, you're experiencing the human life.
Also, I want to say that Emilio, my friend Emilio, is supposed to be here today, but he let me know late last night that he was still working on Renton City Retro. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets. Go to RentonCityRetro.com.
Right on.
And they're going to have the cast of Cowboy Bebop. I forgot for a second there. Everybody's going to be there, so you got to check it out.
All right.
Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah. Rewind that for a second. What do you mean the cast of Cowboy Bebop is going to be?
As in the voice cast of the cartoon Cowboy
That's
Bebop.
fantastic.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
I love that cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to come
So
down.
you're going to have to go. And that is in a couple of weeks, right?
It's like in
mid-May.
the 16th, I think.
All right.
13th through the 16th, I think is what it is. Go double check to make sure, because I'm not entirely positive on the dates.
Sure.
All right. Well,
And I mean, I understand that future civilizations will be digging this up off of the ether. So the year is 2023. For all y'all that need to really go back into the way
all you aliens out there in the universe receiving this.
This is the wild stallions moment.
Yeah, exactly.
He said that he'll come next week, so we'll have him next week. Hopefully, he won't flake again. So
Yeah, no.
If you're listening, Emilio, yes, I said flaking.
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh, man.
I called him
The
out.
gauntlet is thrown.
Well, this is our humanity episode, and I've got one major big-time question for all of us here.
Big time.
In what does it mean to be human?
That's a good question. Sure. What does it mean to be human? To be aware of other people's bullshit, maybe?
Well, I think, chimpanzees are aware of the bullshit of others, especially as they're getting hit in the head with it.
I don't think animals really give a shit about other people's problems.
Tend to disagree,
I don't think they hold on to it.
They don't hold on to it. Yeah,
right. I think
that's what I mean. Is they're
they're
not paying attention to other animals, drama and.
Oh, my dog holds a grudge.
Yeah.
I have seen my dog holding a grudge and being very upset with me.
And feel guilt and remorse as well, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between like animals having like jealousies and things, or just being mad at their humans, and then there is with other animals. I don't think that it's ever a thing, but I could be wrong.
Sure. Well, I think we're spoiled enough as a species because we can manipulate technology, et cetera, that our survival is dependent upon, is immediately dependent upon those around us.
I was going to say
animals can't afford to ostracize their own pack. Right? It's like, or be ostracized there.
I was going to say it was
humans can be dicks and get away with it.
Yeah. I was going to say it's the opposable thumbs, but monkeys and gorillas have those too. So,
well, the core answer is you have human parents and are born on Earth and could reproduce and make another human.
Yeah.
Mammal.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, subscribed to the fact that the meaning of life is to procreate.
It's 42,
right?
42.
Yeah, but procreation is good, right?
Cow.
It's carrying on the species, and that's
true
true with every.
Yeah, but that's only a primary drive, right? Because there's plenty of monks and nuns and shit who abstain, right? And they still live an existence, right? They're being as readily as any of us are being,
right?
Yeah.
I just like fuck it, you know what I mean? So it's like, not really into that, but I get it, and that shows that even the most primary of drives, like you said, besides air, right, can be overridden through consciousness, right? Yeah. And some type of discipline or whatever that is. It's like based upon in a lot of times, I'm sure we'll discuss religion to some degree, but based upon those extraneous rules, right? Based upon mythologies and such, not necessarily the rules you have to follow for your tribe to exist, right? Right. Like following the deer or... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, not to drop the philosophy too quick on you guys.
Yeah, do it.
I think it was Nietzsche, one of his big statements was the only problem that philosophy ever really needs to actually solve is suicide.
Oh, interesting.
Because that is such an anti-evolutionarily...
Sure.
It's such an anti-life action that people do. And how do you explain that? How does no other animals
the organism allow for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
That is a good question.
Well, let me ask it a different way.
Sucks. Yeah. So why do we have emotions that can lead to despair?
Right.
Go ahead, Charles. Yeah.
Well, the next question I had was, how can a species that's capable of such art and music and science and architecture and all the things that we build also be a species that's capable of destruction and killing other things?
Straight up cruel.
It's
right?
the opposite side of the same coin, man. That's what I think. I mean, if you can't have good without the bad.
But why not? I think you can.
Why? Why would?
Because the bad still happens, right? Nature still throws.
People are good because there's bad out there. You know what's bad, so you know how to be good. I think is how that works. I mean,
there's an element of like agency in there. There's a speaker named Les Brown who does motivational speaks. He's kind of like a Tony Robbins guy.
Okay,
and he has a twin brother. And when you ask Les Brown like why he's successful, he said, "Well, I had a mom that was hooked on crack, and we lived in and out of like public housing, and it really fired me up to make something out of my life." And then his twin brother is in jail. You ask him why he's in jail. He says, well, it's because I had a mother who was on crack and we were in and out of public housing, and so I didn't have a good foundation. It's the same reason led to two completely different results, right?
Yeah, sure.
And that kind of sticks to maybe there was some minor thing that they experienced different, but same event, different outcome.
How much
agency is the term for those sets of choices?
How much of an age difference is between the two?
They're twins.
They're twins. I didn't hear that part. Okay,
minutes.
Twins.
Well, maybe the extra 30 seconds to a minute in the womb.
Who came out first?
Yeah, well,
who came out with a deformed head?
Well,
too much nurturing. Which one didn't breastfeed enough, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know, but a lot of it is choice, right? Because biochemistry, et cetera, obviously, right? And epigenetics and changing our...
The reason why I said deformed head is like maybe their brain was squished when they were coming out their birth canal.
Sure.
And that could have caused some damage to the brain.
Yeah, fuck, we all do get squeezed on the way out, right?
Yeah.
So we're just
Some harder than others.
Maybe he looked like
shit upstairs yet.
maybe
right?
he looked more like a turd than a baby.
This
So
fucking thing's around. It's like a baby deer plops out and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But a human baby's like, duh,
Yeah. And then we have to spend the next, at least 15 or 16 years, getting them to a point where they can survive on their own.
Right, let's just-
and I don't know if that's because of society. They got to be that age. I mean, if we lived in
If we're on farms
caves,
or whatever, it'd be 12. Or caves or whatever. No. By 12, you better have all your shit together.
you
Well,
better be
yeah.
hunting and
There's a reason for that. I was reading about this the other day. Like the longer a childhood that a creature has, the more adaptable to their environment they are. So like we're basically born as fetuses, and we're not able to feed ourselves for years and years.
Yeah.
But then we can live in the Arctic, we can live in a war zone, we can live in the desert, we can live wherever because we have this crazy ability to adapt.
Okay.
Whereas if you're born like a horse and like you're running on day 2, you don't.
You're not going to get much further.
You're kind of formed as you're going to
that's
be.
an interesting
because
concept.
they don't need to.
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
yeah.
We're pretty fragile, really, and we can't.
Yeah.
And whatever our, the amount of babies we can possibly make, and how long it does take them, and how dependent they are, and blah 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 blah. It's like, not very many other species have such needs for civilization and needs for all those buffers. Right?
Yeah.
We need that shit, right? I mean, we did fine for a while, right? I mean, and there's primate species and hominid species or whatever that they are successful.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, it's the philosophy and the questioning and the trying to reason for our humanity that leads us into most of the pickles we get in.
Yeah.
right?
That's social media.
Yeah. But chimps go to war too, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
true.
exclusively
Yeah.
humans,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
Well, and most evil comes out of
But it was
good
so-
intention, right? Like somebody like a Stalin, it's trying to do. He probably thought he was doing good.
Well, yeah.
And then on a
I
smaller
don't
scale,
know.
like
I think
that-
some assholes really are assholes.
Yeah.
And if you, or just so insulated, right, and just like to flex, but if you knew that millions of your brethren were being put to death and shit, you can't go, oh, it's for the best.
I think somebody
what
might go, like in a corrupt,
Maybe,
twisted
that's
way.
some ding dong. That's
Yeah.
ding dong.
Yeah. It is ding dong, but people, they show this in movies. Like the bad guy never thinks he's the bad guy, ever. They always think they're doing the right thing, like Eric Lensher in the X-Men movies,
Like Thanos.
or even Thanos. Yeah. I mean, I could have said Magneto, but I chose to use his real name. But
Nice.
But he thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks that that the mutants were the next evolution, and humans are gonna go the way of the dodo. So
And humans have been specifically cruel to his, when
Yeah.
he uses his people.
yeah.
Well, then are humans inherently good, or is that just a construct? Meaning, if you were by yourself out in the woods, if you were plopped as a baby and raised by ferns, right?
I think
Raised by
that
ferns.
I think that evil intentions and things like that are a learned thing.
Well, and some
Well, not
part
just
of it
intentions, but
wasn't
just
really it.
what we would
I don't
consider
know.
evil.
I think in nature, it depends on the level of desperation.
Yeah.
Right, because you see it with animals when water is plentiful. Everybody hangs out by the water.
Yeah. No issues, right?
You know what I mean? But when it's not, and when things are tough, it's like, well, sorry, bro.
My water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but I think that's where a lot of, and so once we could, once we made containers, right? We had pottery or carved shit, so we could store shit. Then we had to guard shit. You know what I mean? And then we got groups of people to guard our shit, and then we had to try to trick them with reasons why they should keep guarding my shit.
And they built better weapons to get to our shit, so we had to build better walls to keep them from getting our shit.
The core of that is like Rousseau, French philosopher, thought that before civilization, humans lived in this peaceful harmony with nature, and everybody got along, and we hunted what we needed, and had this really symbiotic relationship. And then Hobbes, another philosopher, thought life before civilization was short, brutish, rough, and awful.
Just awful. You just you wake up
And
with
so-
your friggin' club and start swinging because you're going to go down.
Boils and you're
People
covered in
stealing shit.
diseases, and you're just
Yeah.
scraping out into existence. And so, I mean, I don't know.
I would say little bits of both, right?
Right, yeah.
But because it depends on, Earth is a very plentiful place, right? Until it's not, right? And life is pretty robust and giving until it's not, right? And so, and weather patterns and all these kinds of things that we are easily susceptible to, especially before we could store to make it through a winter or something, right? When we had to follow animals or whatever, you know, when there was, you know.
Hey, everybody at home that's watching on YouTube, comment down below what you think about all this stuff. I'm trying to keep up, but I'm like,
You're a human.
You're a human.
We all,
We're all humans.
We all got to deal with it.
Yeah, I think. Are you human?
I'm pretty sure I'm
Last time you checked.
I'm mostly human, but I might be a little bit mutant, honestly.
Okay.
And how would we know if we weren't?
Right.
I guess that's part of it, right? It's like we could jump straight into that. Yeah. What about memories then? What if all four of us woke up this morning and we were just programmed?
Yeah.
The moment before we woke up.
Like the
Right?
Matrix.
How do we know otherwise?
Brain in a vat kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Your batteries powering Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are we copper tops? Is that what you're saying?
Where's Neo, man? Come on.
Maybe.
He's in his new world where he's avenging his dog.
Yeah.
How do we know, though? Epistemology. How do we know what we know?
Right.
Those are tough.
Yeah, well, that's belief, right? That's the power of belief, right? Because even knowing, and I think that's Socrates, right? Is like, is knowledge even possible? Right, and that's fair enough because it's between our perception and then you get into weird quantum shit and we don't actually exist and it's mostly space and fucking blah 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 and just all these forces, synergetic forces blipping in and out of fucking being, right? But then, what about my old lady? You know what I mean? I woke up next to her for the last 14 years. She exists, right? It's like she's the one who thinks about smothering me with a pillow, right? That's a real being, but she's not, and I'm not.
Yeah, you can never prove somebody else has consciousness.
Right.
You know what it is, but it's impossible to prove that somebody else has it.
Well, I think, therefore I am, but I can't think for you, so you may not be.
No, but I think that's what, empathy and sympathy and all those things make up for, because you can't know it and you can't know motivations, etc. But since we are fragile beings, we have to have those pathetic reactions.
Or you can go pure narcissist and pure
yeah, but you just don't live long, right? I don't think. I think that kills a human.
Nihilist. That's the word I was going to put. Pure nihilism. Yeah. They exist. There's cults out there.
Well, they say only the good die young, so the truly evil are the ones that live forever.
Cheney.
Trump.
That guy will get his sooner or later.
Yeah, but why is it always later?
Yeah. Maybe one of his friends will shoot him in the face.
Who's McVecticlebe? Is Kissinger? Man, that motherfucker's still alive. You know what I mean? What kind of
Henry Kissinger's still alive?
Oh yeah. I mean, how many? And he was the architect. He was never the guy that pressed the button, right? But he was the architect of the death of a lot of human beings.
Right.
Honestly,
Betty White's dead, but Kissinger's still out there breathing.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's interesting.
Yeah, well, Hitler died, in his 40s? He didn't.
I think so.
Yeah, he was not soon enough. Well, if you believe it. I mean,
maybe he's in Argentina.
Or on the backside of the moon.
Well, there's lots of stories of him escaping to Argentina and living
I got one
his
word
80s.
that dispels that. That's Mossad.
Yes, those fuckers are relentless.
They got it done. There's no way that guy's still around.
And chasing Hitler around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They would have just turn his bones into soup.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's eating that soup, though?
Is that a Gestapo soup? Instead of Gestapo.
I don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well, I know. Are there German stand-up comics? It seems like a tough language to be funny.
Gotta be.
You know what I mean? Because there's one German opera, like what?
I mean,
you know what I mean? It's a tough language.
Wagner.
Kind of. Yeah, that's
Classic.
kind of it.
I think there is German comedians, but they don't sound like German soldiers when they're telling their jokes.
Tons of German philosophers. Tons of German philosophers.
Yeah.
But are they stand-up philosophers?
Was it the nihilists that had the Supermensch thoughts?
Like
Super. What was the
and such.
What was the guy? That wasn't Nietzsche, was it?
Yeah, for sure.
Was it
Nietzsche?
Yeah, Nietzsche did the Supermen, where you can condition yourself to get rid of all your empathy, all your desires, and then you're free of all the stuff that makes you human, basically.
Makes you weak.
Right, because that's what Zen states are asking as well, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or the Tao or whatever, but I don't think, And that's always the puzzle, right? It's like especially with the Tao, for me, it's like, it says, you can't get hit by the horn of the rhinoceros because there's no mortal spot. What does that mean? I'm not intangible, but I think that means that my actions, the eternity of my decisions, make the pathway that they've needed to make. Right?
But those things like desire and attachment, like that, is, you can say
not
where
what the
good
Jedi need.
and evil come from. I mean, if you're going to use that kind of dichotomy, like to be attached to something and lose it makes you upset. To desire something and not get it, you want to lash out.
Yeah.
But then to
become a
desire something and to get it can be a beautiful thing, like a beautiful
striving.
But I want
even
it.
struggle, right? Struggle's not evil, right? But I guess that's what the and humans do like to have stuff, right? It's like I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is just because we understand mortality and impermanence and all that kind of stuff, right? So we want to hold on to what made us feel good, hoping that we'll continue to feel good with it or whatever.
Well, it brings up another interesting topic is how should we value human life? What's the worth? What's our worth?
Are they hot?
Yeah, we'll have to use the hot or not technology.
Yeah.
Hot. Is that website still around? Hotornot.com?
Yeah.
Probably.
Not something I would go to, probably. But
Do you guys remember that website?
No.
It was essentially like it was essentially like Instagram, but has like a meter at the bottom, 1 through 10, and everybody who sees a picture votes 1 through 10.
Tinder.
It's kind of like Tinder is today, but but Hot or Not was just it's just pictures of whoever, and then if you think they're hot, you give them a 10. If you don't think they're hot, you give them a 1. Or whatever in between. So, I don't know if that was that was a thing back in the early 2000s. So,
just like if aliens came down, who are we going to pick to go to be a representative?
well, I would have said the Dalai Lama until he started sucking little boys' tongues and stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a
what
glitch,
the hell?
Yeah. And I've heard some reasonings for that it's like a term used.
There's
like
no good reason for that.
No, dude.
There really is.
Read the room, bro. What the fuck? I don't know. Humans are bonkers, and that's why you never want to meet your
And I've seen a lot of people say, well, at least it's not just the Catholics,
Yeah. What about Greta Thunberg? We could send her.
Yeah, she'd be a good choice, I think.
as a rep?
Environment, chastise the shit out of the aliens for not being
but some of it is
green.
also,
Isn't she like 21?
No, she's like 13.
Why would we send someone?
No, she's older now. She's got to be at least 19.
And
I thought she was like 13
I
or
heard
14.
Greta was Angela Lansbury. She's that
Greta
good.
Thunberg as Angela Lansbury as the Silver Surfer in Galactica's fight.
I don't know, but you know what I mean, because that's kind of not so much of a what does it mean to be a human, but what is for our time and etc. What is the apex? Not apex, but what's a good summation of humanity, right? Is that an artist that we would pick? Is it a warrior that we would pick?
A scientist.
Scientist.
Bill Nye.
Yeah.
Send Bill Nye.
Or like a do-good, like a Mother Teresa type character.
Sure,
Like you have
She's probably a perv,
lots
too.
of
I heard,
Ouch.
Oh, jeez.
I heard she used to beat kids with a belt.
Yeah. But do we measure wealth on the good somebody creates in the world, or do we measure it by material gain? Do we measure it by
Definitely
how
not
smart
material
they
gain.
are? Do we measure it by how
Definitely not
awesomely
material
good looking they are? Do we measure it by what do we measure?
I think if we're gonna
What is value?
yeah. Ultimately,
I think intelligence might have a lot to do with it, and just compassion in general.
Well, I may rub a few guys the wrong way, but the best measuring stick we have right now that I think we've ever really had is actually capitalism and material wealth. Because other than that, you had feudal societies that was birthright, or caste societies where you were basically born at the layer you are. Whereas with capitalism, you actually have a merit-based
I don't think
achievement.
capitalism is the same as, that's a nice blanket term, but like entrepreneurship, free market type
the ability
stuff.
to improve your lot through hard work.
Yeah,
and the
because I wouldn't say
opportunity to-
Elon Musk is somebody I aspire to be,
Or Bill Gates,
We attribute
or
a
even-
lot more attributes, period, let alone good ones, to capitalism, then it by definition deserves.
Or
Right?
even-
All these other mechanisms in place can be and are often separated from.
I'm just saying in
capitalism.
relation to other systems we've tried,
Sure.
like in relation.
Oh yeah. In all of them, capitalism is going to be the best because you can't do anything else unless you're in a small group, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
If you could do communism, great. If there's like 20 people in the
Yeah.
community,
Oh, totally.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
Then it works great.
Yep.
But once you start getting too big,
Yeah, well, central planning's not possible.
Yeah.
Because the human mind isn't capable of coming up with all the.
Right.
We just can't. Which also leads me to say it's the same kind of thing when we look for ideal human, is we can't see all the myriad impacts of a lifetime, right? So for us to try to figure that out, it's just not what our minds are capable of. We don't know how our decisions reflect throughout time, right? So it's hard
Yeah.
to say.
Exactly, especially longer term when you're talking.
It's nonstop because none of it really is unattached.
Yeah.
Right? Causality is forever, everywhere. Right? That's what that is. So it's like everything has effect. Everything has. Everything rubs elbows with everything else.
Yeah.
Right? Every decision is the only is that moment that makes that eternity.
That guy that I cut off in traffic driving down here
just
might go
went home and kicked
beat
his
kid,
dog.
who then has a grudge and ends up starting a gang and taking over Texas.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
They can have Texas, but
Oh, you have that power. I can see it.
but it's that old butterfly effect, right?
It is, though. It is.
Yeah.
And that's why omnipotent being, or I guess
Q.
would be able to see all
Q.
From Star Trek.
And so then you
not
could pick
not QAnon.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be the God effect.
I did a big deep dive for some reason into the Odyssey and the Iliad today. Just kind of a
Homer.
very very concise history of it, right? Not
Cliff notes.
but I mean they had so many gods for everything to explain away the human existence, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there's a god of I can't remember the name, but it's like the god of chaos, right? You got a god of war,
The god of
wine.
Cheetos.
you got a god of wine.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a god that you got
god
to
of
pray
golf.
to, and that's where you blame on.
Yeah. Or you seek favor from. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we all need a mythos of some kind.
Sure.
Right? It's like cosmology is still a mythos, right?
Yeah, I prefer Stan Lee, but
Yeah.
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 I do love the science explanation. Give me one good miracle, and I'll explain the rest.
yeah.
I actually used to say that in 2,000 years, are people going to look at like comic books and be like, in the book of Stan Lee, Uncle Ben said,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of
I
thing.
hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because that's part of our potential, right?
Right.
Is creating deities.
Yeah. I mean,
And I'm not besmirching any religions at all, but that is part of a human superpower, right? And I'm not the first to do this, but I blame that on the fact that we are so slow to become, sufficient creatures, right? It's like, so our parents, even shitty parents, are abusing God is still a God, right?
Yeah.
They might be dicky, but they're still the God that's present and active in, sustaining your life.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we're not that different. I mean, they found graffiti on the walls of Pompeii and like pictures of penises and like porn on the walls. That society's not that far removed.
Some
from our-
ancient little Greek penises drawn on the wall.
So go on
It's
to
not that long ago.
go on
Yeah.
to go on to X Hamster and search for Pompeii and find all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not that much different than.
For a good time, dial XX IV.
That would be a really long number if you had to.
I was trying to do it, but
If you had if you had to do it in like Roman numerals, how long would a phone number really be?
Well, it depends on the number, but yeah.
I mean, if it's the standard, like, was it 10 digits or whatever for area code?
I don't think they needed the area code back then. Small area, but
Pompeii's Greek. Were they using the same? Is that a Roman numeral system, or did Rome?
It was
really
Rome.
invent
I
that?
think it was Rome.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Greek to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know because Times were simpler then, right? You didn't work past sundown because you couldn't fucking see.
Because you couldn't see anything.
There's
Yeah.
that. But I mean, infections killed people.
Yeah. Medicine of leeches.
So there's that, right? Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just mad because times should be better than they are.
Yes.
Right? Because our capability is obvious.
Times.
We're 90% the way there.
I just saw a clip yesterday of this woman. I don't remember her name, but she was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and she was saying how much better the world is today because people in our country aren't starving and needing for anything. And Richard Pryor was sitting right next to her. He's like, no, they really are. There's people that are homeless.
Yeah.
They don't have food or money or.
This is a good segue though, because the world is a lot better than we think it is. Have any of you guys heard of the
According to
Steven Pinker Enlightenment Now? It's a book that was released a few years ago. I'm going to pass down some charts.
Oh my goodness.
To my.
I'm not taking a quiz on this later.
And I think Charles will be putting this stuff on screen. For
I
people at
didn't
home
bring
to
my number 2 pencil.
Okay, so we have here.
It'll be right.
I'll share it out here on the map. But we have deaths from war dropping precipitously in the past 500 years. Life expectancy skyrocketing in the past 500 years. Percentage of children dying before the age of 5 completely crashing to almost nothing in the last 500 years.
I don't know. In the last few years, it should have gone back up a little bit.
Worldwide statistics.
These are worldwide. Yeah.
Okay.
Rate of battle deaths and armed conflicts crashing. Victims of rape and sexual assault is actually going down.
That's nice.
Yeah. Extreme poverty is falling off a cliff worldwide.
Not saying that it doesn't exist, it's just that it's
Plane
less
crash
than it used to be.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to Mike's point a few minutes ago. He's said something about being like 90% there, right?
Honestly,
we need to get over that hump. And what's it going to take to get over that hump so we could get to Gene Roddenberry,
I was gonna say.
Star Trek
And whatever
future?
that's going to look like. Yeah.
I don't know, but
But it's going to have to be something not like this.
I honestly
That's why
don't
we're
believe
most
we'll
of the way
ever
there.
see a Roddenberry-like future for us. I really don't
Not
think
for us,
No, I mean, I don't think our humanity will never see that. I don't think that will ever happen. It's
be
never
Mad
going.
Max?
It's going to be more Mad Max than Roddenberry. Honestly, I don't think it's ever going to be a thing.
Because those kind of are the extremes, right? Or
I mean,
right?
I mean, it's either
We don't have a whole lot. We're adaptable.
It's
right?
either
But,
Roddenberry or it's going to be Blade Runner.
Sure.
I don't know. I do think we've gone through peaks and valleys in civilizations.
And I think these kinds of that's all demonstrations of positive feedback loops.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
As more nutrition comes into play, education increases. That increases
Birth rates decline.
Then living standards increase. Blah 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 blah. So those are good, resulting positive feedback loops. We just happen to be in a time of cascading and positive feedback loops of, say, environmental cataclysm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where it's like, if we don't do soon, I believe, and I could really be wrong, that if we don't really turn the ship, it's just going to be too late. And even, right, there's been 6 mass
No matter what
extinctions or whatever.
No matter what the greatness.
The world is actually getting greener right now, though. Like there's more green space every year than there was the previous year.
Sure, that's
because the water's receding. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, it's from mostly it's from like more efficient farming techniques, and so there's rewilding of land as you pull more calories per acre out of the land that is being farmed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a little less on the
skeptical
worried
side.
about. I'm a little less worried about cataclysm in that sense.
Jeez.
I do worry about like a meteorite hitting the earth or a supervolcano going off or something. Though.
I definitely think that global climate change is a thing. I don't know if we'll see a cataclysmic thing in my lifetime.
I think we already are, though. I think with all the hurricanes, the flooding, the weather patterns changing, Seattle hitting 90 for multiple days or plus 90 for multiple days.
Every summer's been hotter than the last.
Yeah.
That's been going on for a while.
I mean, there's obviously something going on.
Didn't it reach like 120 last year?
I don't know if it was 120, but it was friggin' hot, man.
It wasn't last year, it was the year before. It was. I think it was the summer before I moved back to King County. That there was like 120 degrees in Seattle one day. And I was like, that's
massive.
Craziness.
Oh, yeah, no, that's Kuwait.
You saw, and I just remember seeing photos and video of everybody at the fountain at the Seattle Center.
Yeah.
Trying to cool off.
Cool off. Yeah, it's
Get the E. coli.
It's an interesting thing for like the humanity idea of humanity episode, right? Though haven't scientists recently said we've changed eras into like the Anthropomorphicene era, like the way they kind of block off epochs of time, where now this is where humans are directly impacting and affecting the environment era that we've just kind of transitioned over into it,
Right.
which will be looked back as okay, you know, we were kind of at the whim of nature, which we still are.
up until when? What kind
I
of
think it
time
was
frame?
like the 90s.
Industrial Revolution,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just the 90s.
Because
Well,
we're
maybe
making
it was the
crops,
Industrial
we really
Revolution.
could be making animals. We could be making a bunch of other shit, right?
Yeah,
It's a whole
yeah.
different type of industry that I'm sure we will get into.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, like the Industrial Revolution, mass agriculture, mass cattle, whatever. Like we're impacting the world.
Yeah.
Whereas we didn't really before, even back in the Roman, the Greek times.
yeah. Well, we've been burning forests. I guess that's only 500
that's true.
years. That's not that long,
Yeah,
right? And before that, because I mean, in Sumer, didn't he get in trouble for destroying the cedar groves or whatever? So it's like we were growing tree
That's
crops
true.
or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, but even then, that's, you know.
I mean, England chopped down all the trees, right? Isn't that a thing? Like England cut all their trees down.
Every single fucking
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
No, all of Europe did. Make no
Yeah,
mistake, man.
yeah.
And the United States surely has tried. Oh man, and it just boggles my mind because every tribal society on Earth is just the surprise Pikachu. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? The biggest trees, the biggest bears, the biggest. You go after like the apex, the gene pool. You want to fucking keep going? Nope. That's the first one we go after every time.
Yeah.
It is so. I just go
Go big or go home.
What the fuck? No joy.
It's all dudes trying to impress.
Yeah, it's all the alpha shit,
Let me
right?
go get you the biggest mammoth skull.
It's
The
those
last.
dude bros with the backwards baseball caps, and they're wearing like stained wife beaters, you know,
Well,
With their clubs.
and complaining about their Bud Light.
yeah, that's it. That's who I want around my. You know, tonight our extra bonus is the top 5 worst humans, but you know it's some motherfucker from prehistoric times, Blarg, son of a Blarg, who's just a dick to all his neighbors. You know what I mean? Pooping upstream. You know what I mean? Just doing all the shitty caveman shit. Set our species back like 50 fucking generations. Like fuck you, Blarg, son of Blarg.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Some guy.
Blarg.
Blarg. That's great.
Oh man. Well, Kyle, so the world's getting better
By
according
many
to
measures. Yeah, by
Yeah.
many measures.
I mean, in comparison to like hundreds of years ago, sure, but it still could be better.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear that we have a lot of forward momentum.
Yeah.
Like
And I mean, I think
progress
there's
or whatever you want to call it, right?
I think there's a lot of, I mean, even like the topic of say like racism, right? Because that became really big of like during the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff.
Sure.
But would you say like racism is worse today than it was in 1960?
I'd say it's about the same. It's just it became muted for a few years. People didn't say anything because it was not cool to say those things. Now they don't feel like they need to keep that racist shit to themselves, and they just say it out loud.
I think we had a reactionary.
I don't
period
think-
there, but
I don't
for
think it
sure,
ever went
we don't have
away.
redlining, at least not legally.
Yeah, like there's not like
Redlining and all that.
legitimate laws like prohibiting.
Yeah, like it was. But also, remember, that's the U.S.
Yeah.
There's a lot of world out there, and people can be dicks.
Totally. But I'd say it's getting better. But like to your point, Todd, dude, that doesn't mean like we stop paying attention to
it's
it.
not
Stop trying
It
to
hasn't
improve it.
gone away. It's probably.
Yeah.
I don't. Like I said, I don't think it ever really went away. Just those guys were quiet. They were still thinking that way.
They got
still
government
felt
jobs.
that way.
Yeah.
You know, they all got government jobs and are allowed to, make laws against,
slow down progress anyway, right?
I
It's
don't
always
think it
knuckle
ever
dragging
really
piece of
went
shit.
away. I think just people were quiet.
But then that would lead me to the question, is it possible for some kind of base reactionary, emotional-based policies and such? Like, can racism ever go away? Can that type of tribalism?
I don't think it'll
Can it ever? Is it part of the
100% go
human
away.
condition?
If we interbreed enough and just all become brown, then
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll find something.
Yeah.
There's always something.
There's always something. You're
There's
totally
looking
right.
for difference as opposed to looking at commonality.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's
Yeah.
like we can find differences. I mean, it was like Even the Irish are mad at each other. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? You've got the same names. You know, it's like, so there's always,
and your
there's
cousins.
always something if you look for it, right? Yeah. So I think that's the human element, but I think that goes back to don't take my shit.
And tribe, like
as far as the Irish hating each other, it's not about that's more about religion than anything else.
Sure, but it is those lines, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's Protestant versus Catholic at that point.
Yeah, but if you took just bear with me, if you took a bunch of kids, black kids, and put them in a forest, and you took a bunch of white kids or Asian kids and you put them in the forest, and they were close enough that someday they're going to encounter each other, right? They're going to have the same hunting grounds, same water sources, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Would there be a mistrust immediately? Would there be like, oh, hey, cool, there's some dudes over there. Yeah, they're a little different than us.
When you say kids, how young are they?
I don't know. I'm just, because you can't put kids in there.
Well, but the reason why I'm asking is because
we can try it. Puts children in the forest.
I'm game. Let's do it.
Experiment.
We were Generation X. We spent a lot of time in the woods.
In the woods, dude, all the time.
Yeah.
Learning from big kids.
But the reason why I was asking is because, hatred of other people is something that is learned. It's not something that they figure out themselves.
Well, that's the thing, though.
I would push back. I'd say it is inherent in who we are. Like, I think learning to trust your tribe and distrust other, like, that's a competitive advantage back in the hunter-gatherer day. And I think that's part of who we are. Sure. We need to work against it.
And pain is painful and death is forever. So I think that until the moment we understand that we're alive and we experience some type of death in our tribe, then we get protective of that.
I don't think we naturally think that person wants to hurt me, so therefore I hate them.
No, I think we
understand that's an idea that's presented to somebody. Yeah. If you didn't know to dislike that group of people, you wouldn't necessarily know that they were bad or good. You would have to figure it out for yourself.
Absolutely. In our society, if you took a white kid and an African American kid, a black kid, and you put them in the same classroom and they grow up together and they're friends and they play on the playground. But what I'm saying is if you take two separate kids and you separate them by some kind of geographical location, right? When they finally come together, is
language, ritual,
all the stuff that makes them who they are compared to who the other kid is.
I would say, is it a time of plenty or a time of need?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that would be. I don't think there would be a racism thing at that point. That would be just distrust of people you don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So maybe it's not a race because I don't hate you.
Because racism is a learned thing. It's not something you inherently just are. It's all right. If you're around people that are racist, chances are you're going to be a little racist, whether or not you actually think that group of people are evil or bad or just not as good as you because of your skin tone. Me growing up, I grew up in the suburbs, and I didn't really have there was like 2 black kids in my school. And I don't know if I ever knew them personally. I think I knew who they were, but it wasn't like we hung out or anything. I didn't have black friends until much later in life. So, but
there's also nothing bringing you one direction or the other.
I had siblings who were very racist. Oh. So, but I didn't see them a lot. So I wasn't really impacted by their ideology, until later in life when I realized how fucking racist they were and how closed-minded they were. I didn't really see them as anything just my siblings, and now I go, God, I wish they didn't think that way. That would be great. I mean, but I don't really go out of my way to spend time with them now because of that.
I look at my dad. He grew up poor, white, very Christian, hardcore religious family. They had nothing. They grew up in an area that probably wasn't a lot of other ethnic groups. And that guy did not have a racist bone in his body. Mm-hmm. I mean, he would get visibly upset if somebody was trying to make a off-colored joke or something. You could see it in his eyes, like, I'm about to kill this motherfucker,
No.
Just a great guy, but he had every thing that could have poor and blame it on somebody else, religious, they're different than us, they're all this stuff, and it didn't take, or maybe he didn't get exposed to it.
I don't think he got exposed to it because my dad and my brothers had a different father. but my dad was their stepdad for a number of years, and I don't know if my dad was the reason why my brothers became as antisocial and conspiratory as they are, and just generally don't like any kind of ethnic group. I mean, considering, even though we're Irish and we're like, and they will say, we were treated just as bad as the blacks. Like, we were never slaves, so no, that's not true. But there were some, Grandma would tell us about the times that she was looking for work that says dogs and Irish need not apply. Sure.
But that was pretty short-lived.
And that was
right? that wasn't 400 years.
So that was in the last that was in the last 70, 80 years. So that was in Seattle even.
Yeah, because at one point there was a large, and that's just the low-hanging fruit for a group of immigrants. Right?
Yeah.
It's always that way. No matter, it's just inserts. Different,
and
language.
It's funny to me that people will pick on like immigrants. Hey, you're not speaking proper English. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's like, well, your people didn't come over and speaking good English either, for that matter.
Mine came from England.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if they're Italian or Spanish or whatever.
I'm with you, man.
But just like every group got picked on by the Anglo-Saxon white dudes because they had an accent or they didn't have very good. They didn't speak English. Their English was broken because of their accents and whatnot.
Well, the backwards hat, dirty wife beater wearing dudes have always been with us.
Yeah,
in all races.
In all races.
Oh, yeah.
And
wow,
I would say again, there's been a lot of progress, and I'd say
absolutely
today's society has better equality and opportunity than any society in the past.
Because I think now it's more obvious than ever that there is enough to go around. That at the worst, it's the resource allocation that's the problem, right? And stuff like that. It's not, we know it on a much deeper level now, right? Because I think that's always the threat, is like, so-and-so is coming here and they're going to take your shit.
They're taking our job.
There's just not enough to go around, right? So that's... To the point where, now it's a meme, right? But that's been the tactic forever. Yeah. It's like, and the powers that be, who typically don't want to go to war because they just love telling other people to do so, they sit back and always blame. It's the fuckers in the back row, bro.
Do you think we're going to be? Do you think we're going to be racist against artificial intelligence and computers?
Oh, already am. Fuck you, Skynet.
They're coming for our jobs. They're the next one coming for our
hallelujah.
jobs.
Because why aren't we working towards a time without toil?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why wouldn't we be?
Right.
And that's the thing, and I'm with Buckminster Fuller on this. It's like the minute we realized we could have a species that didn't have to toil, that all we did was work towards the progression of the species, right?
Yeah. It's wild how
we realized it and chose not to do it. That's also a big turning point moment. We're
check this out.
Don't wanna.
Yeah. Check this out. Hey Google, what is humanity?
It's going to be a short episode.
And we're done.
Is that how you make AI go bonkers? What's the meaning of life?
Humanity needs to be eradicated.
It didn't answer because it was still listening to everybody else talking, so never mind. I thought that was going to give us something profound, but I guess not.
Wow. You make a good point, though, about productivity. Like, I remember seeing some graph about how drastically human productivity has improved just at like the individual level, and it's like it's a straight up hockey stick graph, but the amount of hours people are working remains basically unchanged.
Because that's a control tactic. Right, because there's no it's absolutely silly. It's silly.
It is.
We still work like it's 18th century. It's got to keep.
Well, not quite. We're not putting the kids in the coal mines anymore.
Hey, give it a minute.
Well, I actually was
the
told
regulatory state is under assault right now.
There's actually opening up some jobs for like 11-year-olds right now.
What?
And there was a South Park episode where Butters is working at an ice cream parlor, but this shit is not fiction. It's actually they're trying to pass some laws to allow for some more child labor to fill these jobs that are out there that nobody wants because they pay too low.
because the economic powers right now really miss those fields.
So then you have a real
They
reason to
want
be.
economic feudalism.
I need to have some more kids.
Now you have a real reason to complain about your service when you go to McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, it'll be all AI robots at McDonald's.
Well, I mean, they actually know they're already kind of doing not AI, but they have like the self checkout at McDonald's now, so you can order through the app or through the little kiosk, and then like some random 10-year-old will come up with your Big Mac and your large
Dude,
Coke.
I used to work at McDonald's. I cannot believe, and this was back in the 90s, I cannot believe there's not robots cooking burgers.
How long did you work at McDonald's for?
It was my first ever job.
I did
For
that.
how long?
I did that too.
4 months.
4 months. I lasted 6 hours.
6 hours.
I was there for a while. I worked at McDonald's in the late 80s, like 86, 87.
Nice.
How is the machine not doing that yet?
I would imagine there's more technology. But back then, that's when they first introduced the clamshell grills, where it was grilling both sides of the burger at the same time.
Like the Foreman grill.
Yeah, I mean, this is before the
much
Foreman grill
faster,
became a thing. And this
Now
is
it's on microwave, right?
I think so.
Except for the fries.
No,
It's still
actually, no. They do grill them, but what they'll do is they'll grill a bunch of them and then they'll put them in the freezer and then they microwave them as they're needed. Yeah.
Put them under the hot.
No, they don't. Oh, they do have the hot lights just because they're waiting to go out. But yeah,
get cancer.
but
Can't figure it out.
But it is bizarre with life expectancy going up so high.
Double in 100 years. Double.
Yeah.
Thanks to the regulatory state.
Right.
Yeah,
Right? It's like you can't
sicker
just
than
poison
ever,
us
too.
directly.
How do you increase sickness and longevity at the same time? That's such a weird paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I
And
don't
some
know.
of it, I'm sure, just happens to the organism as time marches on.
When we don't
its cells
starve.
get fatigued and et cetera. But a lot of it really is garbage in, garbage out. You know, it's just that's how that is.
Feed the drug companies.
Kyle, you would say we're headed in the right direction as a species, right? As humanity is headed in the right direction right now?
I mean, depends how you would measure it. As far as like reducing poverty, reducing suffering in the world, if that's the measuring stick, then yes, we're definitely doing that.
Yep.
As far as having like some grand goal to work together as humanity, I'm less confident.
That's the weird thing, because we really don't have that right now, do we?
Well, I think we have cataclysm, right?
Yeah.
That we could be working together toward.
We could, but we're not.
Yeah.
Well, they say human population should even out at about 9.5 billion and then start declining. Because the more we educate women, the less children people
Well, it's
have.
already started, right? That's already.
Yeah.
and biotech, right?
Yeah.
Because
But then, like that gets to some of the questions, like why? What's the meaning of it? Like, what are we doing here? I love the idea of the Star Trek. Let's go explore space and continue that frontier pushing.
Yeah.
And try and reduce harm and suffering. Like try and get rid of starvation.
Yeah.
Awful disease.
Well, that's what Mike was talking about, the Buckminster Fuller earlier, right? It was like we could have been there. We could have had all this shit worked out,
Or at least
where we had supply lines to feed everybody in the world, enough clean drinking water, enough food for everybody, and we could be working towards something a lot better than fucking how am I going to feed my kids today?
right. Well, when I initially mentioned the Roddenberry future last episode, it was more or less we've gone beyond like monetary like wealth. We were hoarding our wealth and stuff, and we're not so much worried about how much money do I have, can I get whatever I want, and we're more concerned with if everybody else is able to get by and able to survive and not have to
I don't
suffer.
think those have to be exclusive. I think as long as the goal for our species is to progress the species, then people can still hoard on the side, right? You can still have wealthy people, right?
Yeah.
It just can't. Oh, sorry. It just can't be the priority for.
You keep leaning back farther and farther so we can barely hear you.
Casual, man. The goal can't be the hoarding.
Well, you
right?
can raise that floor. make it so everybody has a higher floor. Like this is the minimum standard of living, and that you can live. Like you'll have food, you'll have shelter.
2 cats.
Two cats.
And I think,
Are you there yet? You got a cat and a dog.
Cat and a dog.
I don't want to see. I don't want to think of it as a minimum of how to survive, but comfortable living.
Would be great, right?
Because there's a lot of people that are surviving, but just barely.
Yeah.
And I would think that if everybody was comfortable in life, then there would be less suffering. There would be less whiny people. I mean, if everybody was living comfortably and they weren't having to worry about bills and they weren't having to worry about their health, do I pay rent or do I get my teeth fixed, kind of thing, The
Economist would say, though, how would you deal with the freeloader problem? If you create, how many people are just going to sit back and not be productive and just float?
I think that's
so. What if
I think it's a straw man argument. It's never been shown to be
I'm with you on
never
that,
been shown to be so.
I don't think it's a thing. I think that's what Fox News likes to tell people, that
it's been the tactic all along.
Yeah, they're freeloading. They're not really doing anything. Who cares if they're doing anything? As long as they're surviving and they're comfortable.
Sure. I mean, comparatively to waste, fraud, and abuse, on a macro scale, no. The like welfare cheats or whatever, it's a microscopic.
That was a thing that was introduced by Reagan, is the whole like welfare mom and
the welfare queen. With
no. Hey, the freeloader problem's a genuine question to explore, and maybe it's not true. Like I don't know.
No, but
it's something that has to be taken seriously.
It occupies a much larger seat at the table than statistically it deserves.
And it's easier to look at the quote unquote welfare queen and demonize them than it is to look at. Well, obviously she's got several kids, but and she's looking for more baby daddies. But than it is to demonize McDonald's for paying shit wages or demonize Amazon for bad policies. Because they're job creators, right? They're creating jobs and stuff. Where the welfare queen, you think she's taking advantage, but there are things in place. I mean, we know people on disability and stuff, they're not fucking making tons of money.
We only value our time being spent to make Wall Street rich. Why is that a more valuable use of time than staying at home and reading a fucking book? Right? There's nothing wrong with that. You're still being. You're experiencing being, and you lucked out and got born now. Right, that should be enough of it. Right, it's like I wasn't born in the 13th century.
I think that,
amidst plague.
I think the vast majority of people that are on some sort of disability are legitimately disabled. I don't think they are working the system like some people.
And I do know people that take advantage of this system. Actually, I'm not going to go there, but somebody that was close to my family, wasn't a family member, abused that perfectly healthy working person. Yes, had a problem with alcohol, but could have been out working a job and instead took food stamps and welfare payments and all that stuff and just kind of hung out and used her welfare money to buy beer.
If they're an alcoholic,
and do her thing.
That's a mental health thing right there.
Yeah, it is.
But what I'm saying is they were still capable of getting out there and getting a job.
Capable is one thing. Mentally capable is another.
They were mentally capable.
The argument,
I know for a fact.
And I would like the freeloader argument would say if you get too many of those people on the system, it'll pull it down.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I tend to agree. Like my experience of life is that's not even like it's a rounding error. Like the majority of people on programs need it, and it's doing a really good thing for society. If anything, we need to lift it up and do more of it to create
the problem I'm seeing, though, being one of those people who is in that system, is that people look at me like I'm a freeloader when I tell them I'm on disability, because they look at me and go, "How are you fucking disabled?" Like, dude, I have issues that are to the point where I was able to get disability if I was faking it or making it's not an easy thing to get on disability even when you are legitimately disabled. It took me years.
And you don't owe anybody a fucking explanation.
Sure.
Absolutely. And it was
and that's not what I'm saying at all.
The reason why it takes years is because people believe that people are punk in the system, and they make it difficult to get on disability because they want to have physical proof. Sure. And when you have mental deficiencies, it's not easy to have physical proof.
And our policymakers are of the mindset that government can only be viewed as the problem and never as a solution maker, when in reality that's simply not true. But that's been their mantra for so long, you know what I mean, that they have to drown government and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but that's simply not so.
That's kind of like
in fact the duty of democracy to enable health, that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that brings up another question: is do we as humans have intrinsic rights? Right? Do we have?
I mean, think so.
The Constitution supposedly guaranteed us the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. What does that mean? Does life? Okay, nobody can kill you, but do I get some kind of medical coverage? Is society going to band together and help me if I get cancer?
Can I throw out a random stat that I learned?
Yeah.
And it ties into I didn't realize this, but when did men get the right to vote, like all men in the United States? There was a men's suffrage movement.
Yeah, because it was a property ownership thing, right?
Yeah, until 1838, only
Was it that
6% of the population could vote. And it was only property owning.
We had to keep
white
the
men.
riffraff out, right?
Well, that's the point. If you
And we
wanna
still
keep
don't,
things-
though. We still don't vote, at least for president, because it's a electoral college. So we still, they still have that barrier between the regular person and, it's not direct, at least for president. We can still do Senate and, Congress.
But
and all
Senate
that,
wasn't that way either.
No, that's true.
I saw a video.
Democracy's better.
I saw a video a few years back that an Australian creator created this video talking about the way government works down there. It is that it's not a 2 or 3 party system. It's like you pick your top 5 people you like. If that person, number one gets
that's what Alaska just did.
Voted out, then you have the other 4 still.
And you have to vote. If you don't, you get fined. In Australia.
You know what? That's fine. I don't have any problems with that. I think that would definitely get people out to vote.
Because it really is the very least a person can do.
Right,
As far as being a citizen, literally. It is the very fucking tiny... done.
I think if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. You should not be complaining about government if you don't fucking vote.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, it's so true. That's
Anyway,
so true.
back to your question, though. I do think that America's done a really good job, and this is really pre-America. I forget there was like some agreement in England too with some rebellion, but the universal
in the year 1200.
Magna
Carta.
Basic rights of the ability to pursue your life and not be oppressed, to have representative government, to pursue happiness, to own property, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of the U.S. Constitution is that nobody was born better.
Right.
It got rid of that whole House of Nobles type thing.
It's caste society.
And it allows, allows for upward mobility, right?
Yeah,
Because that was unheard of. That was unheard of. It's like the serfdom thing is fucking for real, for mass, for mass. It went on way too long. So let's not let that come back.
But it feels like we're kind of getting to that point again.
They love that system. They love that system, right? Because it works for the 1%ers, or whatever you want to call them.
You don't have that in your graphs, but the wealth disparity has risen.
That wouldn't have made this book.
That didn't fit the narrative, man. But that's a real thing. And that's, we value life by how much money we have, right? In some respects,
looked at it as success.
Success, and I can do what I want because I have X amount of dollars, right? I can go to the doctor. I can eat good, healthy food, all that stuff because I have money. I can buy exercise equipment. I can take time off of work. I can find babysitters for my kids.
Choices,
all that stuff. I can work a job that's not manual labor where I'm killing myself every day. Bad back. But
not for long.
I'm all for the trades and everything, but I hate the way we value labor. At least in this country, but I think it's probably throughout the world.
Yeah.
It depends. Since the very early times of the scribe guild, right? All these other guilds or whatever that were seen to be necessary and kind of elevated in that sense. But it's just because, I don't know, the funneling of wealth towards the top is allowed.
Yeah.
Right? All we have to do is decide that that's not the goal of our society, and we just change the goal. A lot of the mechanisms are the same. We just have a different end goal.
Yeah, but I mean, if you flattened society and like equally distributed all the wealth amongst all the people, within 5 years we'd be back, and there'd be an upper class and rich people that got most of the money. Like I think it's something that naturally happens, and there's got to be, I mean, some way to fight against it and create.
Well, there is. I mean, it's called taxes, but you can build better education for kids in inner cities. You can do,
like you say, we're all equal, right? We all have equal rights, but everybody's not equal. Like there'll be more competent people, there'll be less competent people, there'll be faster people and slower people, and that'll kind of segment a little bit.
Yeah, but I think those differences are only important in places where the value of that citizen is only seen in what they produce. Right? If we have intrinsic value as a being, right? Then here, now.
Every person.
Because causality is everything. Right? So every single being, no matter what it is, just like one from Metallica. You know what I mean? It's the same fucking thing. No matter what, you're still being. And that's enough. Yeah. And to have been lucky enough to have been born in the United States of America in the 21st century, that is enough. That's enough.
Oh, man.
You lucked out.
Yeah.
That's a
good start.
Yeah.
It's a good start. And if you got, born into an emerald mine in South Africa, and your parents were really rich, then you can build, a multi-billion-dollar company and claim you hit a home run when you started on third base, right?
Yeah.
What did you do in that past life that got you? Got you.
I wasn't too horrible, right? I don't think.
Just love it that he goes and buys a company and he makes himself the face of the company, and somehow he's the one responsible for all their successes and whatnot.
Yeah, I know. It's like Edison, but dumb.
I really
because Edison was a dick, right? And would love him to have rewritten every newspaper article ever, right? Which is similar. But at least he was smart. He really did invent shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
he really was
bro,
curious.
I know you've got kind of a degree.
Tesla made that shit, and he just took his name on it.
Bro,
there is value and genius in finding the right people and putting them together and creating something.
Coaches are real.
But I know. I totally get your point, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick on, but I always say to myself,
why not? He's got enough money to last him many lifetimes.
I always say, if I had that many billions of dollars, how much fucking good I could do in this world.
I would die trying.
Like Bezos' ex-wife, right?
Absolutely.
Bezos' ex-wife.
By the way, yes, Renton Civic Theater every Wednesday. Honest. Seriously, please, pretty please, come by.
She's single, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
I don't think she's not looking at any of us.
We're funny. We're at it. I mean, we're trying to come by, get the whole theater.
I saw the dude she married. Yeah. Come on.
He's like a school teacher. They were married for a few months.
I know, but man.
But I love what she's doing. And she's probably still has a very nice boat that she can go out to, and she has probably several houses.
I believe they call those vessels.
Vessels,
I
whatever.
saw Jeff's one. Did you see Jeff's vessel?
No. Is it the one with the sails?
It's the biggest boat ever.
Oh my God.
Biggest sailboat ever.
Yeah.
And he put his balls in downtown Seattle. I mean, it's obscene.
Oh, but on the boat,
I don't know if he was the architect for that, though, or whatever.
On the boat thing, though, I look at that and I go, how many children could I feed for a year?
Yeah.
Buying that boat.
And it's not like, I always think that the rich people do that because then if, cataclysm happens or Armageddon or whatever, they can go out.
They can go out their boat.
For 5 years or whatever.
At least when Paul Allen put a building in Seattle, it didn't look like a set of nuts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a blob.
Cool.
It looks like a blob of earwax that's melted next to the Space Needle, but
Have you been inside of it?
Yeah.
Anybody else been inside?
All in the nuts? No.
No, I haven't.
I've been in Jeff's balls.
I thought that they were like geodesic.
Is he your daddy?
Is he your daddy?
But Charles, if you landed on $500 million,
like Powerball or something.
Yeah. Do you think you'd use that to feed as many kids as you could?
I would. I would certainly. my ego, I would live fucking comfortably for the rest of my life, and my family would be well taken care of. But I don't need $500 million, bro. I really don't. A couple $1 million in the bank, I'm good to go for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the rest of that.
And all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah. I'm talking medicines for kids and homeless shelters and whatever else I can come up with. I'm spending the money.
If I won
I would weaponize pigeons.
if I won that kind
Give
of
them
money,
a purpose.
kamikaze pigeons. I seriously though, if I won that kind of money, I would keep a moderate amount to keep myself comfortable for the rest of my life, but then I would give the rest of it to Special Olympics or something. I mean, Special Olympics did a lot for me in middle school and high school, so I would definitely give back.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get a tax break.
And
I wouldn't really care about that,
right? Little lasers for my pigeon.
I wouldn't really care. I think that rich people should definitely pay more than the average person because they have more money.
Yeah, I never got the low tax.
Oh, because it doesn't work.
Well, they used to pay back World War II. It was like
Yes.
I know up
9%.
until all the way till Reagan.
Right.
I know. And like the famous communist Dwight D. Eisenhower, it was like 80-something% for the top tax rate. Are you bonkers?
Corporate tax rate was like 42%. Is down to like 18 or 19 right now.
They use
It's just
more
ridiculous.
of our commonwealth.
Yeah.
Right? They're the ones to get their factories working. They need electrical infrastructure. They need roadways. They need publicly funded schools, hospitals, universities. But they use all of that commons to get that. To reach those goals. Right? But it's all part of the commonwealth that enables that to happen at all. So pay the fuck back into it.
Right.
Good Lord,
absolutely.
I don't get the disconnect.
I really don't either.
That's because once they have the money, they don't want to give it up.
That's
what it is.
Well, and it's their minions in Congress. They take the money and make the laws.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess a Republican would say something along the lines of, the government wastes money, so we should have private companies use money more effectively to
Yeah, but they actually don't.
And I guess it depends. If, like I don't want, the government making my shoes and shit.
Right.
$400
It's
pens.
Yeah, but I do want the government regulating my traffic lights.
And hospitals.
And the
my
FDA.
hospital.
Everything.
All that stuff.
All the stuff that enables life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I would say is too precious to be left to the whims of capitalism.
And the people need protecting from greedy corporations that'll pour chemicals in your river. Like we need somebody to protect against that.
Because that's the end of liberty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all have liberty up into the affecting of someone else.
Isn't that something that recently happened? Like there was like the train derailment and it dumped all those chemicals into the
and then they caught it on fire on purpose. It was like, go-go. It was a vinyl derivative to make just vital shit, right? It's not like a life-saving thing. And there's a huge, I think it was Houston last year, this huge silicone plant burst into flame. It's like, I like UV glove too, right, bro? But it's like, do we need to risk massive pollution and all this shit to have fucking UV gloves?
Or if something goes down,
it's like,
make somebody actually pay the actual cost. Like the full cost to fix it.
Yeah, well, that's what that's
real.
That's where the
capitalism. Let a bank fail. If you spill oil, you're spending 20 years fixing this.
Agreed. Yeah.
Let's not bail out the banks again.
No, well, we just did again. But
did they really?
Oh yeah.
Oh
but,
fuck.
I know.
Not as bad as the last time, but
gain too much weight, right? It's like, and same with the energy systems. It's like. It's got too much momentum, even though it should have been, that momentum should have been steered and retarded throughout the last 200 years. Since we didn't, it's got so much weight behind it, it's really hard to stop it now.
We are in like this oligarchic, socialist, like corporate socialist, where we bail out the corporations and the rich people. They get socialism. But nobody else does.
Nobody else does.
You're funded by us, right?
And I'm all for Mike. He says this a few times: is capitalism great for what we want,
not for what
not great
socialism
for what we
is
need.
not great for what we need. So
because there's some things that obviously it's like why don't we have there's a huge market, and I don't mean this as facetious as it sounds, but for opioid treatment beds, right? There's a large potential clientele right on the fucking block.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How come the free market hasn't sprung these treatment centers into play?
Yeah.
Right? It's
That's 'cause they need
it
the
doesn't
government
work
money.
that way. There's some stuff that's too precious, and I say life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It's like you can't. If somebody else wants to have a private treatment center, God bless.
Yeah.
We shouldn't say you can't do that, but we have to provide that shit. We have to do that because it's a common problem that we need to deal with.
It's like firefighters, police stations.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, when we shut down all those mental health institutions in the Reagan time frame, worst thing ever to do, because it just put tons of people who really don't have any business being out on the streets, who are much healthier and happier being institutionalized.
At least part
Are
time.
you fucking kidding me? Really? Do you really think that mentally unhealthy people need to be in institutions?
The ones that need to be institutionalized need to be institutionalized.
Okay, a lot of
There's a
those
spectrum.
people. I can tell you right now, my uncle was in one of those, and he was Down syndrome, and he was just left in a hospital. They didn't treat him great.
Yeah, I'm not saying him.
When those people, well, that's the thing though. The majority of the people that were in those were not mentally insane people or people that shouldn't be out in public. And that's another thing. Why are they not allowed to be in public just because they're mentally unhealthy?
What I'm saying is the person that is violently walking down a Seattle street throwing
That's not what you said, though. You said
I said the people that need to be institutionalized should be institutionalized, but there's not enough beds and rooms for them to be in.
And treated well. If somebody can't function in society, they should be taken care of.
That's not necessarily having a facility doesn't mean somebody has
And the reason
to
why
go
those
to
places were shut down is because it wasn't just violently ill people that were in those places. It was a lot of people like my uncle who all he did all day was watch TV and play board games, okay? He was not a violent person, and he didn't deserve to be treated like subhuman because he was not normal.
Then he shouldn't have been there.
But that's the thing. Back in those days, anybody who wasn't a normal person was institutionalized, regardless.
What I'm
if
saying
they're
right
violent or
now
not.
is there's plenty of people that are out on the streets today that should be institutionalized. They should not be wandering the street.
Violent people should be in jail, period.
Well, or institutionalized if they can't control, their
like
emotions
super
and their
schizophrenia or something like that,
exactly. They should be institutionalized. They should be medicated if that's what the treatment calls for.
Better than on the street.
Better than on the street, and wreaking havoc, right? And it would be a better life for them too because they're not struggling.
The slippery slope, and I think that's what Todd is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that being forced into it because that means you're losing your liberty. At what point can state power take liberty from someone and
that's why they closed them because of that.
I bet in some cases, right?
Yeah,
and I
most
think also
cases,
because
most cases. Like I said, my uncle was in one of those places, and I honestly
was he forced to be in that place?
My grandmother and my grandfather were told that he would not be able to survive in a normal reality. You know, he would need to be in an institution. That's why he was in those hospitals. And there was, you hear about all those institutions, how they treated people who were mentally deficient, or, I mean, not just criminally insane people, but people who were just not normal. Or allistic, as like some people like to call them.
Yeah.
But when they closed those, a lot of those people got moved into like family homes or group homes, rather.
Sure.
And the violent ones were put in places that are more appropriate for them. They weren't just put out in the street. I don't think. I mean, if they were violent, they wouldn't release those people.
I think that's part of the point. Is there's a subset of people that don't have the ability to function in like the modern economy, where somebody that just say they can't hold a job, pay rent, like manage their household. That's not violent. That's totally kind, totally great to be around. But right now, there's a lot of those people that are just on the street and living in a tent. Like we need a place where people can go.
And when I say
have a decent
institutionalized,
standard
I don't mean they should be in a padded room somewhere caged up. I just mean they need to have somewhere to go where they can get healthy, where they can get help with their everyday existence. I know places for, I've worked at places where they have folks that are Down syndrome that they go during the day, and it's almost like a group home, but it's just during the day they go and they play games, and a lot of them play like Dungeons and Dragons, and they're great, sweet people. Sometimes they have a meltdown, and sometimes it gets physical. But, you know, the staff is trained and it's a good place. Yeah, a lot of those places in the 70s and 80s were shitholes. My grandmother was in a nursing facility that was just fucking wrong. And I looked at my mom every time we went in there and said, why is grandma here? And I didn't know my grandma very well because she was pretty much already in that home when I was a kid, but we would go visit her and there would be halls of people in wheelchairs just sitting there drooling, looking, you know, and they're just begging to talk to somebody.
Right.
And those have gotten better as time went on, but
the
70s and 80s.
Higher now,
the budget's higher, and
But
mostly it's private, right?
But that's why those places were closed, because a lot of them were not good for people, even, you know, just... They were
I tend
treated like cattle, you know. They were,
but we could have improved them instead of
and that's why they closed those places. They moved a lot of those people into group homes, and the people that were violent were probably moved to Northwestern even.
Yeah, and we hear a lot of people that have those outbreaks. Either it might be a drug-related thing, it might be a mental, it might be a both, you know, that end up just going to jail for a little while and then getting released on the streets because they don't have anywhere else to go. It's like they should be in treatment.
Yeah.
And when I say institutionalized, that's what I mean. They should be going to a treatment center, whether it be a drug rehabilitation, whether it be a mental health rehabilitation, whether it be, you know, somewhere where there's doctors that can start prescribing medication or other practices that will get them to a point where they can start to function better in society. I don't mean institutionalized, they should be in a straitjacket and lobotomized. I just mean that there's a place for them to go.
Tendency song.
I can't believe people used to do that.
What's that, lobotomy?
Yeah. Metal piece of...
Yeah, God.
No, I know a guy who got electroshock.
Do you really?
Yes. In the 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah,
wow.
They did a little of that on The Mandalorian a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
And now it's the cloner guy,
Get
right?
reprogrammed.
Okay.
Yeah, getting reprogrammed,
Re-education camp.
I don't know. I think in overall, and I know it's a slippery slope, but for all of the things, because we really do need to care for our fellow Americans, but we need to keep liberty the light of it. Right, we need to spread the light of liberty over institutions, over the judicial system. Right, all of our systems need to be.
Yeah.
You can't say that you're going to make somebody better. That's what they do in China with the Uyghurs.
Right.
Right. They're going to make them better, so they put them into a fucking re-education camp, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, we did it with natives, right? We put them into fucking terrible schools.
Yeah, Catholic.
That kind of shit to break them, right? Not to
give them a small plot of land that they could live on.
But that's not working within the light.
And now
liberty.
they're all billionaires.
You know what I mean? It's like
Light of liberty. I like that.
You know what I mean?
I like that
Like-
context. That's a good context.
Because that's the sunlight laws on governments, et cetera, so that we have more transparency, et cetera. You know, there's a lot of one-issue voters, and that's my one issue.
You're a liberalitarian.
Yeah, I think most libertarians just don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah.
I really find that humans aren't tough enough to make it on our own.
Isn't
I want to do
libertar-
drugs, shoot my guns, and
Isn't
not make
libertarian just Republican light?
kind of. I mean, they like all the social stuff.
But
It's
they're
like they don't want to
atheists.
make. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
it's more
pretty
of
much
like the Republicans without the
Diet Republican?
No, it's without the socials. It's just
Without the
Give me
moral-
freedom. Like if as long as what I'm doing doesn't hurt you, let me do whatever I want.
Yeah. And it's like, and then there's a lot of libertarian ideas that I prescribe to, like prostitution. Why is that illegal? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's based on a specific moral code.
Yeah.
Right. That's not necessarily.
But as George Carlin would say, you know, giving away fucking is free, selling is legal.
Yeah.
Why isn't selling fucking legal?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Ah, Carlin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Well,
sorry for my meltdown there, Charles.
No, you're not incorrect.
no. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, Todd. I just want to explain myself a little bit better. That I'm not saying that. Let's run down the street and round everybody up in a dump truck and think. Really?
No. Oh my God!
Come on.
Aren't you the one with the German ancestry, though? You're always a little wary. And he just started talking about rounding motherfuckers up. Like, jeez, no, but anyway.
I would like to see more mental health institutions, whether that's day centers, whether that's hospital beds, more treatments. I would love for the government to pay for that. Get these people off the street, get them healthy again, get them back into productive lives.
I want to
I
want to see one of these places geared towards Gen X, so we have like an arcade and like pool tables. And,
it's called.
I'll settle for a cafeteria, dude. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm not actually going to stop doing drugs. But I would love to go to some treatment joint that had a cafeteria, maybe movie night.
A cafeteria that has like school food, like the square pizzas and the bagel dogs. And shit.
Yeah. Sausage that may or may not be in
all 80s movies.
Seriously though, about a few years back, I was like, why is it the only place I ever saw bagel dogs was in school? Why can't I find that shit in the store?
You can't get the frozen ones? Don't they have frozen?
I thought I saw some in
like the little wieners, right?
No, I'm talking the ones they had in my school were like foot long.
Oh, we didn't have those.
Yeah, they were like the Costco size hot dogs, but they were in like.
Damn, what school did you go to?
I know. Is it Qua High School? Is it Qua Middle?
Motherfucking is a Qua.
Seriously though, they had like the Costco size, sausages encased in like bagel bread. And
we were lucky enough to get that pan pizza that one Friday a month.
We got those too. You talking about the square pizza? Yeah, we had those too.
But they were small, and I'd always get like the fucking center small piece. It's like cut it right next time, Bertha.
They're like 3x3, right?
I don't know.
And they were not huge slices.
In my memory, they were small. I never got the corner piece. I was one of the corner.
Right?
Damn it.
But yeah,
damn.
Man, if anybody knows where I can find bagel dogs, let me know. I was craving those like crazy a couple weeks back.
Call in and leave a message. Todd, what's the phone number? 206
504-3190. Leave a voicemail or send a text.
Yeah. Do it.
It comes to my phone, by the way.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and when we get
But I guess it won't get here until Friday.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of a space age thing, man.
If nothing else, we can always put it in a shorty, right?
Yeah, we can put it in a shorty.
All right.
Yeah.
Our shorts on
do we have
YouTube.
1,000 subscribers?
No, not quite yet. We're getting there.
We're getting close. Are we
I know. The minute I said I'm going to tattoo, I thought we were at like 200.
We were
at like 950. I'm like,
Mike's changed his mind. Now he's like 2,000.
No, seriously though, when Mike said that, we were like 8 something.
Yeah. We're like 900 subscribers. Yeah. But thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, push the friggin' button, hit the little bell thing.
And leave us a message on what tattoo I should get. At least I'm in on it.
Yeah.
And subscribe and share all of our videos, man. Share them with your friends and get them to
people you
subscribe.
don't like.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it, man. You just grab random people's phones and you subscribe to our channel or subscribe to our Spotify.
I got somebody listening to us on Apple Podcast. He's probably not going to hear this for a few weeks because he's starting at the beginning. But John, thanks for listening, man. He just found out about the podcast over the weekend when he stayed with us.
Oh, nice.
It's my father-in-law.
Oh, very nice.
He listened, I think, the first episode or two when he was over on the weekend, and he said he would catch up. So it's probably like May something for you, John. But
get a good ab workout. That's
so let me finish off this episode with one last philosophical question.
All right.
How should we measure whether someone has lived a good life or not? A good life.
If they're a good person and they're not a shit asshole.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, if you have
to define those terms.
If you've gone through, I think.
In whose opinion?
I would think it's obvious if you know someone's an asshole or not. If they're not an asshole, if they have the occasional meltdown and they kind of react wrong but quickly, say, "My bad, I'm sorry," then they're not a bad person. But if they're like if they double down and say, no, I'm not in the wrong, you're an asshole, that person's being the dick. That person's being the asshole. I think if you learn from your mistakes and you're able to adjust, then you're a good person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say 3 words are the measuring sticks of a good life. It's humility, curiosity, and love.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean,
Shit asshole. I knew what he meant.
What it really boils down to is Wheaton's Law, which is don't be a dick. And if you don't know what Wheaton's Law is, go on YouTube and search for Wheaton's Law. There's videos of
don't be a dick.
It's Will Wheaton said this at Penny Arcade like 10, 15 years ago. He's like, we all are gamers for a reason. We like playing games. There's no reason for anyone to be a jerk to somebody else just because they're not playing as well as you. So Wheaton's Law is don't be a dick, and that carries over into every part of life, not just gamers. You know.
Yeah. It does.
Do you think there's never a situation in which you should be a dick?
Well, I mean, if you're dealing with another dick, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the language being spoken, right?
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean,
I'll see your dick and I'll raise you a dick. Wait, did that come out?
it's a dick. That's what they call a dick slapping competition, right?
What about you, Mike? What's
Well,
yours?
that's my mental rubric for whether violence is necessary or not. Right?
Yeah.
It's just for me, because I like the Tao, is you're just returning what is given. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But I come from a a weird family, so I'm always just about here.
That's a very punk rock thing too, isn't it?
I don't know, but for me, I've always just kind of been that way. So
Yeah.
But yeah, what does make a good life? I don't know, because I really do believe in synergy, right? Which is that the sum is more than just the parts, right? That all of our actions, the causality, the intentions, all these kinds of things, it does reflect off into the myriad, right? Because I mean, if you look at fucking weird shit, time isn't what we think it is. Existence, and material, universe, and all this shit isn't really what we think it is, right? That's just what us, can perceive it as.
Yeah.
But I do think that we still feel that synergy. We feel when we're doing the right thing, right? The lack of friction.
I think
when that happens.
What we say on my other podcast is, like Marianne says, make good choices and remember it's not about you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and a good plug.
Well, I would go with that too. For me, always love the end of It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, where Clarence, his guardian angel, reminds him that no man is a failure that has friends, right? If he's been able to touch people.
I'm a failure then.
Well, come on, Tom. What do we chop liver? But yeah, I mean, you're not truly a failure if you are able to touch other people and not in that weird creepy Dalai Lama way.
Because that's the thing. Because that leaves that impact that's beyond our lives. Right? That's the normal spot that the Tao's talking about.
So if you have made your life better and made somebody else's life better, then
provided you have permission to reach out and touch someone.
Yes, yeah. I mean, always ask nicely first. I forgot to mention that tonight's safe word was noodles, but it's probably too late now.
We should start that beginning of the safe word is, and then if someone says it, do like the whole Pee Wee Herman thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys feel uncomfortable, just yell out noodles. Noodles. So, already?
You're talking about touching people. I don't know. I got a little weirded out.
Noodles.
All right, folks. Well, man, this was a heavy discussion, but I think it was a good one.
Yeah.
So much more to discuss.
So much. Yeah.
We still like each other at the end of this recording, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I never liked you guys that much to begin with. So. It wasn't a reach. So. But Kyle, thank you for coming down and
thanks for
sharing
having me.
your philosophical wisdom. You're going to stick around for our bonus round.
Bonus round.
You folks watching can get to the bonus round on the website. You can go become a member for $3 a month or $30 a year, and you will get all kinds of bonus features, including Mike's rants.
Oh, yeah.
Including Todd and Derp funny videos that Todd likes to make with Derp, who
my puppet, yeah.
again costs us a fortune in contracts. We've got News of the World minicast and a ton of blogs which have been going up pretty rapidly.
That's at www.r-podcast.com.
Yeah.
Get there.
Get there and do it.
Hyphenate.
Anybody got anything more fun and positive to end on that we didn't already end on?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes. A Jedi craves not these things, right?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
My God, that was my favorite part of that episode.
Yeah, I love it.
No.
Yeah, if you haven't seen The Mandalorian,
You have no idea what we're talking about. You have to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez, I'm trying to think of...
Anything else?
Nope, everything's...
No, you're good.
Really happy to be here.
Really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Another day in this existence is never terrible.
Well...
The night's still young.
All right.
All right, guys.
Good night.
Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you think this episode is worth $1 or $5, the boys would love to have it. Please go to ourtownpod.store for merch or to donate now. For less than a cup of coffee, you can also join the website in the member-only area for exclusive bonus content, blogs, and more. It's just $3 a month or $30 a year. Thank you for listening to this production of Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire.